As expected, the Batman cleaned up at the box office this weekend, taking home around $130 million in just the United States alone. It seems the fans loved it, and the critics were impressed with Robert Pattinson's first time out as the Caped Crusader. And you know what? That got me thinking, what are the best reviewed Batman games of all time? To answer that question, I decided to flip through the pages of Electronic Gaming Monthly to see where they came down on this issue. The result is a list of 20 games they reviewed between 1989 and 2009, right before the world got its first taste of Batman Arkham Asylum. Come, join me as we see what the review crew thought of the Dark Knight's earliest adventures in this episode of Electronic Gaming Monthly ranks the Batman series.
It's here. Batman, the video game. From Sunsoft. For the Nintendo Entertainment System. Let the battle begin.
Alright, let's go ahead and start with number 20, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker on the PlayStation. We regret that Jonathan was unable to write a review for Batman this month. Following playing the game, he fell into a complete mental paralysis and has not yet regained consciousness. The following is an excerpt from his last waking moments spent convulsing in front of a continue screen. What the hell is happening? Why are these jumping vacuums firing laser beams at me? What does this have to do with the cartoon? Why can't I get past level 2? The enemies have friendly fire, but I can't beat them with 3 lives. Ah, my eyes, it burns. Pessimistic about John's condition, doctors say that his last words may have been a cryptic 1.0. Signed, Management. Number 19, Batman Beyond's Return of the Joker on the Nintendo 64. Well, Batman Beyond sure is better on the Nintendo 64 than the PlayStation, but that's not saying much. It's still a horrible game, but at least you can get past the second level this time. The graphics are a little nicer, the difficulty has been downgraded a tad, and the controls seems much less muddy, but these upgrades don't help the fact that Batman Beyond is still one of the poorest excuses for a Final Fight type game ever. Keeping the keenest feature from the PlayStation version, you can't save your game in Batman Beyond, meaning to beat it, you have to sit through hours of pure, monotonous hell. It's just an insult to fans of the show. Number 18, Batman: Dark Tomorrow on GameCube. Ooh, after that Batman and Robin flick, I thought that tainting the Dark Knight's image any further was an impossibility. And then Kemco released this pile. It's amazing that a decent story featuring a bunch of the Caped Crusader's coolest villains could be so screwed up by clunky, repetitive gameplay that it lacks even one redeeming quality. This is like the Adam West of video game Batman. Embarrassingly pathetic. Number 17, Batman and Robin on PlayStation. Batman and Robin is easily one of the sloppiest releases I've seen in a while. The camera is the worst yet in a 3D adventure title, and the game is loaded with glitches and enemy AI problems. The objectives are fairly interesting, but the poor controls coupled with the horrendous graphical presentation makes for a frustrating and painful experience. The only worthwhile features are the music and the background environments. Number 16, Batman Forever, the arcade game for the Saturn. No offense, guys, but I found it really hard to find many redeeming qualities in this poorly constructed side-scrolling fighter. I did like the backgrounds and the inventive special attacks, but it appears that the whole game was designed piecemeal, then slapped together with little regard for cohesion. I think Acclaim was going for a cartoony style, but it really just messed up the possibility of a good game. With this title, the Batman games have lost the dark tone that has been their trademark. Batman Forever gets the Frisbee Award this month. Number 15, Batman: Rise of Sin Tzu on PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. Who will stop Batman from inflicting his mediocre games on the unsuspecting public? This guy's a menace! The upgradable combos are Sin Tzu's best feature, but, for me at least, they don't begin to compensate for all the bad stuff. Beating up an almost never-ending cavalcade of henchmen gets boring before the end of the first stage, and that hellish countdown timer only makes the experience less enjoyable. Here, take my Batarang. I don't want it. Number 14, Batman: Chaos in Gotham on Game Boy Color. Turning to the original animated series for inspiration rather than Batman Beyond, Digital Eclipse packs a lot of gameplay while keeping Total Chaos graphically solid. It does a nice job of breaking away from the standard side-scrolling model by dropping in driving and flying levels here and there, and while playing as Batgirl offers only mild relief from the belabored punch-and-kick action of Batman himself, the game keeps you mildly entertained throughout. Number 13, Batman Returns. What happened here? I'm not impressed by playing the cartridge version of Batman Returns with okay music and a new car scene all over again. If Batman Returns was going to be made for a CD format, why is it so much the same as the cart? It should have been a 100% original creation. Number 12, Batman Begins on PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. This Batman installment reeks of Metal Gear Solid plagiarism like the Batsuit reeks after a Bat Chili Bender. The familiar Metal Gear radar is here, but mated with an inept combat system. Batman's got sweet gadgets as usual, but where you use them is so predetermined that it gives the game a painfully linear feel. Begins' big pro is how great it looks, especially the lighting effects, which are contrasted nicely by the dark atmosphere. But I still found myself wishing that the game would go the way of the old Batsuit nipples and just disappear. Number 11, Batman Vengeance on PlayStation 2. Batman Vengeance is a classic example of style over substance. On one hand, it captures the look and the feel of the Batman animated series to a T. The Dark Knight is lovingly modeled and animated, and Gotham's environments feel true to the source material. Conversely, the gameplay, while functional, is unspectacular. The level designs and objectives are often vague, but at other times ridiculously obvious. Bat freaks will find merit in Batman Vengeance, but the unconverted will remain just that.
He can run, there's no escape. He can hide, that's his fate. He can bite with all his might and never win. When good battles evil, the real game begins.
Number 10, Batman Returns on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Hark, the 8-bit is grasping for air. Can you hear it? Batman Returns would have been a great game 3 years ago, but hey, this is the 90s. Everything about Batman Returns is decent enough to deserve an honorable mention. But who needs outdated graphics, sound, and gameplay anyway? Number 9, Batman Forever on the Game Gear. For a Game Gear title, Batman Forever boasts some very impressive graphics. When a game comes out for a cross-platform system such as the Genesis or the Game Gear, most of the time the game suffers significantly in the looks department. Batman Forever was surprisingly similar to its 16-bit brother, but with only 3 buttons to use, it becomes very difficult to use all of the special moves that are incorporated into the game. Number 8, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Game Gear. Well, it looks as if Sega didn't want to give Game Gear owners a break. This game is just as hard, if not harder, than the Genesis version. Why harder? Well, it's because the screen likes to blur when you're running, making it nearly impossible to see the bullets streaking towards you. When standing still, you'll notice that the graphics are excellent, with almost no color fringing and a high level of detail. As always, the music is bland, but that's to be expected. Be warned, this one's a toughie. Number 7, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega CD. The best way I found to swallow the cost of this game is to think about it this way. You're buying a CD full of cartoon episodes with a so-so driving game included to break up the animated sequences. The video quality of the animation is definitely Sega CD quality, read that as pixelated. But that's easier to tolerate than the game, which is nothing more than just a very boring driving game that suddenly gets horrifyingly hard in the worst possible moments. It's slightly above average. Number 6, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Genesis. Take it easy on me, Sega. Do you think you could possibly throw more enemies at me and make the game so hard that I was peeved going into the second level? Oh, listen up, readers. Batman and Robin has good sound, good graphics, and good control, but you're gonna need that last part since there's so much on screen that you'll need to avoid. If you're looking for one serious challenge, you won't need to look any further than this one. Ugh, I gotta take a nap. Number 5, Batman, Return of the Joker on the Game Boy. Now this is what a Game Boy game should be. This sequel to the first Batman game is not quite as intense, but every bit as good. The graphics are good for the Game Boy, and Sunsoft has packed tons of action into this portable cart. The music is excellent, and the gameplay is solid. I can't wait for 16-bit. Number 4, Batman, Return of the Joker on the Nintendo Entertainment System. This card has about the best looking visuals that I've ever seen on the NES. Despite the graphical improvements, there's something missing about this sequel that made the first so good. The gameplay is limited to a walking and shooting contest with pretty graphics and shallow gameplay. Number 3, Batman, the video game on the Game Boy. Sunsoft took a different approach when bringing the Dark Knight to the Game Boy. In this version, his main weapon is a gun which can power up. It has digitized cinema displays and a Batwing side shooter scene too. Number 2, Batman, the video game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Dark Knight has arrived! Finally, a game that does Batman justice. This game has amazing graphics and gameplay. Cinema display scenes are cool, but could have been longer. I'd really like to have cruised in the Batmobile or flew in the Batwing. But all in all, this is great gaming. And finally, the number 1 game, Batman, the video game on the Genesis. The ultimate side-scrolling action game for the Genesis is finally available. A great title that almost never made its way to the Genesis legitimately. Great graphics and incredible music make this one of the best action cards available. It perfectly follows the movie's story and even has Batmobile and Batwing scenes as well as cinema displays. A bit too easy though.
Tiger puts arcade action in the palm of your hand. Games like Batman. Choose your weapons in this 4-level game of action as you jump from rooftop to rooftop trying to get through 6 vicious henchmen to get the Joker. But can you defeat him to win? Also available, Tiger's Batman Risk Game for the time of your life. Tiger LCD video games. Video excitement in the palm of your hand.
Hey, thanks for watching us count down Electronic Gaming Monthly's favorite Batman games. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we have EGM ranked episodes featuring Metroid, Castlevania, Resident Evil, and more. There's a whole playlist with tons of EGM content. You should check it out. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite old school Batman game? I'm talking about anything prior to the Arkham games. There are a lot of solid games on this list, but EGM missed out on reviewing quite a few titles. I'm actually surprised how many they missed. Go ahead and let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with a review of What Lies in the Multiverse. followed later in the week with Pretty Girl Breakers. That one's actually a lot better than it sounds, trust me. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,